wanting to learn students. Welcome to CCTR Productions. Today we will evaluate the most significant factor responsible for demographic changes of the 18th century. Let's get into it. But first, we must break down what the question is asking us. The question asks us to write about causation, so we must determine the most significant cause responsible for the effect, which in this case is demographic changes in Europe. Demographic changes relate to population dynamics, including shifts in population, labor practices, and migration patterns. The cause that we specify must be within the 18th century.
Now, we must delve into the context to understand the situation leading up to the agricultural revolution. The age of exploration, spanning from the 15th to the 16th century, was characterized by unprecedented maritime journeys and discoveries between civilizations throughout Western Europe. Daring explorers like Christopher Columbus and Ferdinand Magellan traversed uncharted waters, establishing trade routes between the Old and New World. One trade route, the Columbian Exchange, introduced new crops such as potatoes and beans into Europe, contributing to the agricultural revolution through the health benefits of these foods. In addition, the scientific revolution, unfolding from the 16th and the 17th century, laid the groundwork for modern science and reshaped understanding of the natural world throughout Europe. Visionaries like Galileo Galilei and Isaac Newton challenged century-old beliefs and superstitions by advocating for experimentation and mathematical reasoning as the foundations of scientific inquiry. As scientific knowledge spread, farmers embraced new techniques and tools, leading to the success of the agricultural revolution by making agricultural productivity soar.
The most significant factor responsible for the demographic changes in Europe during the 18th century was the agricultural revolution. It brought unprecedented population growth, a shift in labor practices, and increased urbanization through surplus food production, improved living conditions, and scientific advancements. For example, increased food production and new nutritious foods led to a population surge in Europe from 1700 through 1800. Potatoes, rich in previously unavailable vitamins, boosted immune systems and life expectancy. New practices like removing fallow land and using nitrogen-fixing crops also created abundant food surpluses. This surplus made food cheaper, enabling access to healthy options, reducing death rates, and fueling rapid population growth. In addition, the agricultural revolution caused a shift in labor practices through the Enclosure Acts. Enclosures consolidated scattered holdings into compact fenced-in fields to farm more effectively, but it also led to social upheaval by kicking peasants off their fields, transforming peasant farmers into landless rural wage workers, forced to look for new ways to create a living. Thus, peasants worked for wages instead of sustenance, as the masses could spend on non-necessities in the form of leisure and recreation instead of relying solely on survival. Lastly, the agricultural revolution increased urbanization through technological advancements influenced by the scientific revolution, such as Jethro-Tull seed drill, which distributed seeds in an even manner at the proper depth, a much better method than scattering seeds by hand. Because farming became much more efficient, fewer people were required to work on the farms to produce the same amount of food. Therefore, many migrated to the urban cities as people left rural areas to find new job opportunities.
The agricultural revolution does not have sole influence over the demographic shift that occurred, however. Another factor responsible was the shift from religious wars to balance of power wars that took place after 1648. Religious wars influenced the common people because these civil conflicts within towns consumed much of the population. However, the new balance of power wars took place on the battlefield, so non-combatants were less affected. Therefore, as the shift from religious wars to balance of power wars took place, the death rates among non-combatants decreased, which increased the overall population during the 18th century.